As a doctor, I've spent my life studying science and medicine, believing that every symptom has a cause and every illness has a cure. But what about the things that defy explanation? The moments that haunt you long after you've left the hospital? If you've ever wondered what goes on behind the closed doors of an operating room late at night, or if you believe there's more to this world than what we can see, then you are in the right place. In this video, I'm going to share 5 chilling stories from doctors, real-life encounters with the unexplained, the paranormal, and the truly terrifying. So turn off the lights, lock the doors, and get ready. Because after this, you might not look at a hospital the same way again. Story 1. The Withering Patient. Dr. Reed, the first story comes from a seasoned physician, a friend of mine named Dr. Ilara Vance. She once encountered a case that started subtly but spiraled into something deeply disturbing. It began with Mr. Henderson, an elderly patient with a seemingly straightforward respiratory infection. What made him unique was how disproportionately weak he was for his condition. As the days turned into weeks, Mr. Henderson deteriorated at an alarming rate. All the vitals were stable and every test came back clean. There was no medical reason for his rapid decline. It was as if his very life force was being slowly drained. My colleague, who was interning with Dr. Vance at the time, was on night duty one evening when he checked on Mr. Henderson. He told me that he saw a dark, shadowy figure hovering over the bed. He blinked and it was gone. He looked back at Mr. Henderson and the patient let out one last weak gasp before his vitals flatlined. The medical team rushed in, but he was gone. Dr. Vance never found a medical explanation for his sudden demise. The chilling feeling of an unseen force at play lingered with her for years.
Story 2. The Silent Scream. My second story comes from a brilliant surgeon, a man I've known for years. He was performing a routine, albeit complex, surgery on a patient. This patient was, of course, under full anesthesia, completely unconscious. Everything was going smoothly until my friend made an incision. At that exact moment, the patient's face contorted in a silent, soundless scream of agony. Their eyes, though closed, seemed to bulge, and their mouth was pulled into a horrifying grimace. My friend's assistant and the nurse both saw it too, and they froze. The surgeon tried to rationalize it, telling himself it was just a muscle spasm. But the silent screams continued intermittently throughout the surgery. Post-surgery, the patient recovered perfectly, with no memory of any pain or distress. The medical monitors showed no unusual activity, and there was no physiological reason for what they had witnessed. The surgeon, to this day, cannot reconcile the image of that patient's silent agony with any scientific explanation.
Story 3. The Ward 3 Shadow. For the night staff at one hospital, Ward 3 became a place of dread due to a persistent and unsettling phenomenon. It started with a young resident, a kind and compassionate doctor named Lily Singh. She would hear faint whispers coming from empty rooms. Then her patients began complaining of a tall, dark shadow that stood in the corner of their rooms at night. The shadow never moved and simply seemed to watch. Lily initially dismissed these stories, but soon she started noticing the shadow herself, a fleeting dark shape at the periphery of her vision, a cold spot in the hallway. One night, while she was checking on a critical patient, the shadow appeared more distinctly at the foot of the bed. As she watched, frozen in fear, the patient's heart monitor flatlined.
Despite their best efforts, the patient could not be revived. The shadow was gone. The presence was never identified, never explained. Staff on the night shift started to avoid Ward 3 whenever possible, a constant reminder of the unseen horrors that roamed the halls.
Story 4. The Child Who Knew. Dr. Reed. Children are perhaps more attuned to the unseen, and my friend, a pediatrician named Samir Khan, encountered this firsthand. He was treating a young, terminally ill girl named Mia. One day, Mia told him the kind lady was here again. Dr. Khan asked her to explain, and she said, "She's sad. She stands by the door and tells me it's almost time." He tried to reassure her, thinking it was just a child's imagination. But other children on the ward, who were also nearing the end of their lives, began mentioning a similar, sad lady who would visit them just before their condition worsened. One night, Mia was more alert than usual. She told Dr. Khan, "She's here now. She's pointing at you." He felt an immediate and inexplicable chill. The next morning, Mia passed away, peacefully in her sleep. Dr. Khan never saw the lady himself, but the consistency of the children's accounts, always preceding a turn for the worse, left him deeply unnerved.
Story 5. The Unfinished Autopsy. Pathologists often deal with the tragic aftermath of a life, but my final story comes from a meticulous pathologist named Dr. Isabelle Dubois, who encountered something truly bizarre during a solitary late-night autopsy. The body on the table was a John Doe found with no clear cause of death. As she began her work, the lights in the morgue flickered and died, plunging her into darkness. A loud crash echoed from the other side of the room. When her emergency light finally flickered on, she returned to the body. What she saw was horrifying. The body's hand, which she had positioned by its side, was now slightly raised, fingers twitching. She froze, whispering to herself that it wasn't possible. The hand slowly but deliberately clenched into a fist. Overcome with terror, she fled the morgue, not stopping until she reached the security desk, pale and shaken. The next day, the John Doe's body was examined by others, but there were no signs of any unusual movement. Dr. Dubois, a woman of science and logic, could never explain what she witnessed in the cold stillness of the morgue that night.
What do you believe? Have you or someone you know ever had an unexplained or terrifying experience in a hospital? Share your own stories in the comments below. And if you're not already, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next time we dive into the unknown.